So hi Shannon,
Hi.
I'm JayCee.
I
You
did.
know me.
Yes, I did.
So this is like an introductory episode
Mhm.
for Manchester Creative Talks,
Right.
and this is so nice to have you on the show. And I think we'll be releasing yours first.
Okay.
So I have some questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, let's start then.
Okay.
Yeah. Shannon, can you give me a quick intro about what Manchester Creates is and what you do?
Okay. So Manchester Creates has multiple things that it does, but the two biggest areas are it has a summer camp for students here in Manchester
Yeah.
that is free to Manchester middle and high school students. And it also has professional development for teachers from Manchester School District that are in middle and high school. And we've been having science teachers for the moment, but we may open it up a little bit as well.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Can you describe your path of how you became director of Manchester Creates?
Okay. So I'll give the brief version
Yeah.
because the long version is very long. But I was a teacher
Yeah.
and I was teaching STEAM classes. And one of the issues I had was I had kind of a gap where I didn't have a lot for the medical side of my classes to
Yeah.
teach students about. And I just happened to be online and I found a UNH professional development over in Durham. And I went through that professional development, and that was pretty much this, but in Durham.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed it. And the lady that had run it, Carmela Amato Weirda, she had a position open up here because there was a grant that had been awarded to the state or to the city of Manchester. And she asked me if I was interested in running it. So here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a lot of twists and turns. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So, what is Manchester Tech for Teachers?
Manchester Tech for Teachers is something where we teach teachers about biofabrication and regenerative medicine.
Yeah.
And what I see myself as is more of almost a translator,
Yeah.
where I look at what's going on in the industry, I look at what's going on in research, and I try and dial that back to what teachers could actually do in a public school setting with the regular limitations that public schools have.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of how you translated that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I went through this program with Carmela, I had done research. I was the only person that was not a science teacher, so
Yeah.
that was a little intimidating. But I had found some research that WPI had done
Yeah.
on spinach leaves, and they had actually grown heart stem cells on a spinach leaf
Yeah.
after they had decellularized it. And I just thought that was amazing. And the other teachers just kept saying, well, just do decellularization, just do decellularization. But because I'm a very visual person,
Yeah.
to me, that was only half of the process. I really wanted something else to be grown on
Yeah.
it. So I had worked with my students. We all explored together. And I actually put agar over a decellularized spinach leaf. We engineered some E. coli to be pink. And then we actually put those cells over the spinach leaf to symbolize the heart stem cells growing back across the leaf.
Nice.
So,
Fascinating.
yeah, it was really, it was a lot to learn, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've heard you have a summer program, and there's a similar one or another one over at Durham.
Correct.
So what's the difference between the two?
Right. So Durham was the original project. That's called New Hampshire Creates.
Yeah.
And they also have a summer camp. And but the main difference is that they can serve students and teachers from all over the state.
Okay.
And the students can actually even stay on campus, and so can the teachers over at Durham. Here we don't have the overnight option,
Yeah.
which I am okay with. And but we do have is we service specifically Manchester.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we have a lab,
Yeah.
whereas Durham does not. So when their teachers are doing research, they can go visit what the students are doing,
Yeah.
but they're not actually working with their hands on stuff as they're developing their units.
Yeah.
So when I was learning, I literally was doing it in my kitchen when I would come home at night.
Yeah.
And yeah, so needless to say, my husband was very happy. I just finally got rid of the E. coli I had in my freezer all these years. Yeah, so that's what I really love about having the lab is we can bring teachers in, they can explore a bunch of materials, they can try a bunch of protocols, and they can hone that protocol without trying to do it during school hours or after school when people have busy lives. And they can really just hyper focus for that full week, the first week on exploring everything, and then the second week of really honing that so that they can design something that their students can do that will have the most chance of being successful.
Yeah. So, what's one thing about your career that you didn't expect?
I did not expect this. So I always knew I would be an artist. I grew up knowing I would be an artist. I had no question. I've been singing and doing art since I was as long as I can remember. I went to art school. I went to Maine College of Art for metalsmithing and jewelry. And then I had my own business. I had two businesses. And one's the New Hampshire Renaissance Fair that I sold when I went back to school for my master's degree. My dad always said I should be a teacher, and I realized at that point that I probably would enjoy teaching now that I'd had my own children and seen what it was like. And so I actually have a master's in art education.
Nice.
But then when I started teaching, I told my boss, I think we need a STEAM program. And he said, well, make it happen. So I've kind of self-taught a lot of stuff. I taught drafting and photography and 3D modeling and all sorts of things like that. So this was not really on my radar. And even when I applied for the program, I didn't think I would be accepted because I wasn't a science teacher. But Carmela saw that I was passionate about this and that I had a lot of the technical side of things, so she was willing to take a risk, and hopefully she doesn't regret that.
I'm sure she doesn't regret that.
Yeah, let's hope.
What's a non-STEAM hobby that secretly helps your research or teaching?
So most of my hobbies are STEAM, so this one's a little tricky to answer. But what I will say is I do, unfortunately, a fair amount of doom scrolling, as you've seen. I tend to send a little bit too much sometimes. But I follow a lot of feeds on Instagram that are about science and engineering. And it's nice because I can very quickly kind of assess if it was something that would be, if it's interesting visually, that's a good hook for students too. So it's really helped me come up with some ideas and find some things that maybe the teachers would enjoy.
So you're saying that doom scrolling isn't always bad?
Not always bad. When you can't sleep, it's bad. But a little bit here and there is very good.
So what would you tell to someone who is starting their career as teacher?
I would tell people to be patient with themselves and with the students, and not take things personally. That's a big thing that's hard as a teacher. Because students, that's kind of, especially high school students, they're testing the ropes, or the waters, that's their job, is to really start to push into adulthood and push back on adults. So you can't take stuff personally. That's developmentally what they're supposed to be doing. And I think if you've got a passion for it, there's not much else that will make you happy. That's why I get so excited when I have the teachers, because now they're my students. So I get really pumped, like making stuff and prepping for them. And it's just very exciting to me. But if I weren't teaching at this point, I think I'd be very sad. It's just not the same, And I thought teaching originally, when I was in college for education, I was working in the education department. And my boss hired me to work with students on developing their lesson plans. And I said, I don't know how I can do this. I've never written a lesson plan. And she said, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And so after I got used to it and she and I were talking, I said, can I ask why you hired me? Because I'd only just started the education program, and I was in the art education program, which a lot of people consider kind of a silly program. So, and she said, well, because whenever I look at a lesson plan from students, it's almost always students will do a worksheet, students will answer this question, students, it was all just very kind of run of the mill. And she said, I really want to integrate the arts, and I want you to encourage the teachers to try other things that will keep kids more engaged.
Yeah.
So that's why I do what I do.
So what's a STEAM concept that you wish everyone understood better?
Well, I think this is one that you understand also. I think something that a lot of people don't get, or I don't know, maybe it's so big they can't conceptualize it. But I think the main concept that I get is that everything is connected. So computer science is connected to engineering, which is connected to science, which is everything is connected. So, and especially in this field, there's so many different areas of discovery. You could have, someone talking to their class about ethics of regenerative medicine, and you could have someone talking about the history of it. You could have someone talking about the machines that need to be built. You could have someone talking about how they need to be coded to run things, so everything's interconnected. And I don't think it's just this field. I think it's just in general. A lot of the people that I've met since I started doing this were engineers that then became scientists because they had to learn the science behind what their machines were doing or what their protocols were doing. And it's such a new field. There's not a lot of people that already have this, this wheelhouse. So I think that's the neat thing about it, is we're all kind of building the plane while flying it, like they say. So that's why this program is important, because it will teach students about these things so they'll be ready when they do go into the workforce.
Did you find any thing that actually showed that cross-discipline example?
An example of the cross-discipline? Well, like when the thing we just did today in the lab, I was doing research for teachers on some of the hydrogels we're working with. And for those that don't know, hydrogels are being used to 3D print cells, and to actually start to 3D print things like bladders, or even skin cells if someone needed a graft. And the beauty is you can use the person's own stem cells so they don't reject. So that's what's so really cool about it. So the hydrogels that we've been using are using cells, but they're not mammalian, so kids can use them. And I just happened upon something that was using clay tiles with these hydrogels. And that's really my wheelhouse. Is I love working with clay and plaster, and my business was using plaster molds for years. So there's just so many ways that they all connect in the end, but it also connects to ecology. So, and a lot of these materials we're using connect with ecology and are kitchen grade, which is what's so much fun about them.
So what's next for Manchester Creates?
So we have one more year with our teachers and our students under the current grant. And then we're looking at retooling and finding funding to either continue this program or to continue something similar, doing outreach and professional development, and potentially opening it up to people outside the Manchester area as well.
That would be great, because I've met a lot of people who are so interested, not in Manchester region.
Right. When we give tours, we get that a lot.
So how would someone who is interested in Manchester Creates can get contacted with you?
Right. So teachers that are interested, that are middle or high school teachers in Manchester, can email me. And we can put my email address on this at the end if you want. And I also have an Instagram that's mostly my personal Instagram, but I also post quite a bit about what's going on in the lab. And that's at STEAM Educator. That's one word. And we also have a LinkedIn account now, which is easy to find on Google, and you can post that link as well.
We'll post. Thank you. We'll go into our next segment. So Shannon, the next segment of our Manchester Creative Talks is story behind the picture.
Okay.
I'll show you some pictures.
Yes.
And you can tell me what's happening and what's the story behind that picture.
Sounds good.
So this is our logo, Manchester Creative Talks. Thank you for the edit.
Yes.
And what's happening here?
So this was last summer. I'm looking at the reflection in case people are wondering why I'm not staring behind me. So this was last summer. The teachers working in the lab.
Yeah.
And they all really enjoyed working with the planaria.
Yeah.
But they were worried about upkeeping the planaria during the year because the feeding can be extremely time consuming.
Okay.
So here they're processing beef liver. They used a food processor, so that's what Sonia's got there.
This one?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what Cassie is doing. Cassie, I think, is just taking some with her for the road.
Yeah.
And then Sonia is also loading some into tiny Eppendorf tubes.
Yeah.
Because the planaria really eat so little that one of those tubes would feed probably 200 planaria if you were cautious about it. And then Kate up here has even smaller tubes. They're called PCR tubes.
Yeah.
And John over here is looking like a crazy butcher, hacking up the liver so they can be put in the food processor.
Yeah.
And he's got his tubes down here ready to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Looks like you had fun.
Yes, they really got into it. It was very stinky. Yep.
So what's this picture?
So this is one of the spinach leaves that's been decelled. We've got it in some food coloring and water here.
Yeah.
And what will happen eventually is through capillary action, it will pull the dye up into the whole leaf. But this is just like it had just been put on there. So this is what they look like when they're decelled. So all that's left is a cellulose scaffold. And on the left, these are the teachers checking their spinach leaves to see how many cells have come off. So you can see Sonia's liquid is kind of a little bit green because some of those cells have already started sloughing off of her spinach leaf.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what is this?
So that actually is a really cool device that's an incubator, a hot plate, well, not a hot plate, but a hot section and a cold section.
Yeah.
So this is used for when you want to grow cells in an incubator. And this is what I use to engineer the E. coli. So it can be used for a lot of different things. So the teachers another day were testing antibiotic resistance with me.
Yeah.
And so they have some E. coli in that incubator with some antibiotics to show that the cells will not grow around certain antibiotics.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, that was a neat photo too, but they didn't get into it as much as I thought they would, so that's why I didn't focus on that one.
Yeah. So can you, these are your peeps?
These are my peeps. These are the awesome teachers that we had. All of them are high school teachers except for Mary, who you'll meet. And my boss is on the left here, Carmela Amada-Weirda. She's the PI for this project. And Amy Booth is my coworker, and she also runs the program over in Durham.
Yeah.
And then we have Cassie, Sophia, Kate, Sonia, Mary, John, and Andrew. And they're all teachers here in Manchester.
So guys, now what you're about to see is like my most favorite part and like one of the coolest things ever. So this, I let Shannon explain what this is and what's happening right there.
Yeah, it doesn't want to, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a microscopic video of planaria, or planarians, I should say. This one has mutated, so you can see that it actually has 3 eye spots. The things that, like a lot of people, even if they don't like worms, find these to be very cute because they're cross-eyed looking. They're kind of, I call them derpy because they all have this silly look on their face. But the white is actually just their skin color. It's not part of their eye. The black part is just a light sensor, but it gives the effect of these cross-eyed looking little worms when you look into the microscope. but this one on its own had just grown a third eye spot when it regenerated. So what we do is there's a few different things you can do with the planaria, but some of what we do is to actually bisect them and cut
Yeah.
them in half, and then each end will regrow. So you could cut one of these into, I think, 269 pieces, and each one will become a new planarian. But they're only, maximum like 12 millimeters long, or a little bit more than a centimeter. So they're very small. Here, I think they're staying in one place because they're actually feeding. They must be attached to a piece of liver right now, and
Yeah.
that's why they're not moving around very much. But you can see see how it's pinkish? That means it just fed. So it's full of liver. Or given how yellow it is, it might actually be full of egg. So, yeah.
So thank you for the interview.
You're very welcome.
So fun interviewing you.
Thank you.
You'll be looking at Shannon's interview and after that Mary's interview in really soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
All right. Thank you.